On a long drive back home after picking up my middle brother from his final day of university, we got into a deep philosophical conversation about the nature of life and what the purpose of all of this could be. At one of the pit stops to refuel and get some refreshments, my brother decided to get a bag of what could be considered unhealthy but very flavorful chips. When we got back on the road, I was telling him some rather shocking facts about the unnatural processing of those chips. And while he listened to me with interest, he still chose to continue eating them. Then he began to tell me about a concept that has since then left me deeply scarred for the rest of my life. He explained to me that what he was doing by having his desired chips was releasing the neurotransmitter dopamine in his brain, which he said was probably the same reaction that happened to me when I ate a green apple, which happened to be my favorite fruit. What he was conveying was that he got his dopamine release, his feel-good chemical, to be released by one certain action, whereas I unlocked my dopamine release with another action. Whereas someone else may get their dopamine fix from working out or meditating or watching the ocean waves or reading a book or making money or praying or being generous or traveling or falling in love, but nevertheless, everyone was after one single commonality in life, quenching their dopamine cravings. This was such a revelation for me because I realized at that moment, on that drive, in the midst of night, on the long empty roads of the interstate, that nothing I did was any more or less significant or any more or less meaningful than anyone else. That simply, I was just following what led me to have my brain flooded with dopamine, quite similarly to that of a drug addict. That night, I felt that my mind had been blown, that I was just a biologically programmed wet software trying to hack biologically the release of my feel-good chemicals. I realized how delusional I was, thinking that I was any more important than anyone else. Who was I to judge anyone on how they got their own dopamine released, even if it was radically different than mine? In the end, it may have been extremely risky, but after that deep discussion with my brother, I too had a single one of those delicious chips, and I might add that I did not regret it a single bit.